Now at 5, it's a day of remembrance for those who have died in the service of the United States of America. We take a look at some of the ways folks are holding those soldiers. Plus, parts of
ALS, cancer, and mental health, all issues overwhelmingly impacting military veterans. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with the program researching why that is and how it's looking to help future generations.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Today, we honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the liberties we all get to enjoy. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Jalen Banks filling in for Dow Quick. And it's been a great weekend of weather for Memorial Day events, but that could change for some parts. And now, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hitty joins us.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend weather-wise for most of us across the region. And of course, today is Memorial Day itself. We do have a lot of mid and upper level clouds, and we've had clusters of showers and thunderstorms, mainly on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. And some of these have been a little bit stronger, but you can see this cluster just south of Chanute. Zoom in just a little bit. Here's Yates Center, Fredonia, Neodesha, a little bigger guy, western parts of Chautauqua County in southeastern parts of Kansas. And we're gonna have these guys kind of flaring up and down as we go through the evening hours. Mainly sitting lower 80s, so it is warm. As we go through the overnight, still hit and miss storms, isolated really just about any time during the night, and these rain chances stick around over the next few days. We're gonna look at that here in just a bit.
Today, the nation pauses to remember the brave Americans who gave their lives defending our freedom. GEM members at Midwestern built CrossFit Gym in Joplin gathered together to honor Memorial Day by taking on the Murph Challenge. The Murph Challenge is a series of CrossFit workouts where a participant will run a mile, do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 body squats, and then run another mile while wearing a 20-pound vest. The challenge honors the sacrifice and service of fallen Navy SEAL Michael P. Murphy.
Realize sometimes what it takes to have such an awesome country, sacrifices made by men and women to have what we do have. As terrible as it is, they had to do what they had to do to make our life better.
Over 30 people participated in the challenge. Pittsburgh State University also honored veterans today with a virtual Memorial Day program at the PSU Veterans Memorial. The program featured traditional elements of Memorial Day ceremonies, including a color guard comprised of cadets from PSU's ROTC program and the playing of taps and the singing of the national anthem by PSU music students. It also highlights the stories of several veterans, including Vietnam veteran Rick Fulton, who lost friends in the line of duty. The GAR Cemetery in Miami today honored fallen veterans with a Memorial Day ceremony. The ceremony included the Colors entrance march by a local Marine Corps, a performance of the Pledge of Allegiance, and a flag ceremony. An opening and closing prayer was led by United States Navy veteran and City of Miami employee Kevin Koch. Nationally, we head to the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York to see how folks there are honoring fallen soldiers. Astrid Martinez reports.
In all 50 states and the nation's capital, America is honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice this Memorial Day.
It's not about barbecues. You know, it's about the men and women who fought really hard for our country.
President Biden laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery.
Today, it's on all of us, to ensure that sacrifice was not in vain.
A crowd gathered aboard the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York to honor the fallen. Navy veteran Dennis Higgins was 21 years old when he served his country in Vietnam.
Those that passed deserve a prayer.
Ralph Slane was a crew member on the Intrepid.
We lost crew members that were buried at sea, so there's a special reverence that you feel when you board the ship.
Keeping the Intrepid company this week are active ships docked along the New York City west side for Fleet Week, showing visitors what service looks like.
I hope that she sees that, these are the people who keep us safe.
And a long-awaited homecoming befitting a fallen hero. The remains of a Georgia soldier lost in the Korean War and later identified through DNA were finally laid to rest.
Thank you for your service.
Even decades later, a nation never forgets. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
In Arlington, Virginia, flowers were placed at the Tomb of the Unknown. Dedicated in 1921, it's considered the most iconic memorial at the Arlington National Cemetery. It houses the remains of soldiers lost on the battlefield who could not have been identified. The U.S. Navy Blue Angels and the U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptor demonstration team took the sky this weekend. The Great Pocono Raceway Air Show returned to Pennsylvania. It was 2 days of barrel rolls and sonic booms thousands of feet above Earth. It marked the first time the Blue Angels have ever performed at the air show. And still ahead, we look at a program for veterans examining the effects of military exposure. Topping today's Health Watch, nearly 1 million veterans have dedicated their medical records to scientific research. The Department of Veterans Affairs hopes this budding program will have a lasting impact on future generations of servicemen and women and help save lives. Skylar Henry reports.
It was a hard decision to give it up, but if I only have that much time, I want to spend it with my family.
Retired Marine Roger Brannon had every intention to still be on active duty. He completed 2 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq.
I thought I had a body of steel because I never got injured, but then you get this diagnosis.
The 52-year-old medically retired after being diagnosed with the neurodegenerative disease ALS. Research shows veterans are twice as likely to develop the debilitating condition compared to those who haven't served.
I'm not giving up. I never will, but it's still there in the back of your mind that your body's going away and you're losing muscles and you're losing the ability to do things that you love to do.
That's why Brannon is taking part in the Million Veteran Program. The goal of the Department of Veterans Affairs initiative is to learn more about how genes, lifestyle, and military exposure affect the health of service members.
To find new cures, new treatments, and diagnostic markers.
And it's not just ALS. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, even mental health issues are under the microscope. So far, more than 950,000 veterans have signed up.
What we learn in veterans is going to apply to all people. So it's going to be useful for mankind at large.
If I can change one person with ALS lives, that I can let them know that you're not alone.
Brannon hopes his contributions to science will help other military families who are fighting this disease. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Officials from the VA say their goal is to reach 1 million veterans in the program's registry by Veterans Day later this year. Artificial intelligence helped some scientists develop a new antibiotic to fight a dangerous type of drug-resistant bacteria. The drug Abaucent was developed by doctors at the University of Pennsylvania, MIT, and Harvard. They claim the antibiotic controlled the growth of a deadly superbug often found in hospitals and other healthcare facilities. Research out of Denmark finds being vegetarian or vegan for 5 years can lower bad cholesterol by 10%. A physician analyzed 40 years of thousands of clinical trials. She says a plant-based diet can lower cholesterol about a third as much as a statin medication, and it appears to work regardless of your age, body mass index, or other health factors. In the U.S., research shows only about 10% of people eat even the recommended amount of produce. And workers say they feel more productive when they have a beverage nearby. 2,000 people were surveyed. Hot coffee was the most preferred drink by 64%, followed by iced coffee, water, and flavored water. Almost a quarter say Mondays are the most needed days for it. 8 in 10 respondents say free beverages at work help them feel valued, and it was the most requested perk to get workers to come back to an office setting. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, pets as turtles, why one professional says it's not a good idea.
Plus some scattered thunderstorms sticking around the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, I hope you've had a fantastic holiday weekend. And of course, Memorial Day weather was pretty good all weekend long, even though we've had some pop-up thunderstorms for us throughout the afternoon hours today. Most of these have been on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Looks pretty good. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, allergies up there, but we're doing a little bit better on a scale of 1 to 12. Today's about an 8.1. Tomorrow drops to a 7. So we're in that medium range, but still, if you are an allergy sufferer, you're going to have some issues over the next few days. 81 in Fort Scott, 75 in Chanute. A little bit cooler on the Kansas side. They've had clouds and some scattered thunderstorms. Everybody else sitting into lower 80s. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 82. We have a southerly wind light at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Through the evening, we slide back through the 70s, 60s, eventually lower 60s later on tonight. We're still going to be dealing with these hit and miss little guys. They're going to kind of flare up, drop off, flare up, drop off. But overall, these will start to calm down a little bit once we lose the heating of the day. And you can see most of these have been Kansas down through Oklahoma. Not much of any rain on the Missouri side. The Missouri side may get a few pop-up ones later on tonight. Let's go ahead, zoom in. Here's Iola, Chanute, Erie, over toward Fredonia, Yates Center. A little bigger guy once you get into Chautauqua County. So we are getting some strong storms with some very small hail, but overall, these are just pop-up thunderstorms. A couple little guys right around Tulsa and north toward Bartlesville. So we have this wave that is kind of shifting through. In fact, let me show you the upper level winds, and you can see this little kink right in here. So that's this weak little wave that is pushing through that's going to give us those hit and miss storms really over the next several days. All right, let's go through tonight. Here's midnight. Still a couple little guys could flare up, hit and miss after midnight. I think partly sunny in the morning. We warm near 80 by noon. Once we get into the afternoon, again, pop-up storms across the region. The ones that do pop up could be a little bit on the stronger side. As we go through tomorrow evening, storms kind of die off once again once we lose the heating of the day. Let's go into Wednesday morning, sitting into the mid-60s. Once we get into the afternoon, pop-up storms once again. Here's about the noon hour. We'll go into the evening hour. So we do have chances for rain. It's just going to be very scattered. We've kind of already slid into our summertime pattern. All right, so 65 in the morning, 81 by noon, high temp, right around 84 degrees for us tomorrow afternoon. And as we go through the rest of the week, here's Thursday afternoon, still some pop-up storms. Friday afternoon, pop-up storms, Saturday. So we're going to have chances for rain just about each and every day, which we definitely need. 84 tomorrow, 84 on Wednesday, 86 on Thursday, 86 on Friday. We hold into the mid to upper 80s over the next 10 days, a little bit cooler late next week, but you can see those pop-up storms each and every day, and hopefully your house will be one of the places that get pop-up storms and we need the rain.
Oh yeah, for sure. As for those temperatures though, you can definitely tell we're getting into the summer season with those high to mid 80s.
I mean, can you believe June's almost here?
What are we, like 3 days away, 2 days away?
Yeah, today's the 29th, so yeah, 3 days.
All right, well, looking forward to it. Thank you, Doug. Conservationists urge the public to respect the wild and keep box turtles in their natural habitat this summer. Aaron Cantrell reports from Tennessee.
And we can tell who is who. We all have nicknames for them all.
Joanna Prosser is passionate about taking care of animals.
I wish I could find Mr. Handsome.
And as the animal care director of Walden's Puddle Wildlife Center, she sees people taking wild box turtles
And then come out in the spring and summer.
and turning them into pets.
Where you can't take any turtle that's less than 4 inches. And so these are TWA regulations.
All the turtles in this encampment are ones owners didn't want anymore. This guy is named Kenny. He keeps the staff entertained.
You have to fix your turtles.
Buddy!
And is the only one kept inside a tank.
Because he isn't able to box up completely. Since he was raised as a pet and didn't get the proper nutrition, his shell didn't form properly.
It's why she's reminding the public to not make them a pet, even though children may beg their parent to keep the one from their backyard.
And they need very specific food, lighting, heating. They have specific requirements, and you don't want to take in an animal that you're not confident you can care for properly.
They can also make us sick.
So turtles do carry salmonella, and that is contagious to humans.
And it's not a great idea to re-release them into a new environment because of their homing instinct.
They will spend more time just trying to find their way back home. In that process, they're more likely to be hit by cars or come across railroad tracks, things that will ultimately kill them.
Their populations are declining across the United States for reasons such as habitat destruction, fragmentation, being moved around and spreading diseases to populations that would otherwise be healthy.
Prosser knows these turtles play an important role in the environment and thinks we need to help them thrive so they'll be around for more generations to come.
Appreciate wildlife, show your kids, help them appreciate it.
Activists say if you're going to have a turtle as a pet, get one already born and raised in captivity. Coming up, Ford and Tesla are teaming up, how the partnership aims to help those with electric vehicles. Topping today's Health Watch, now that the White House and House Republican leadership have reached a compromise to raise the debt ceiling and avoid damaging government default, the big question now is whether there are enough votes for the bipartisan bill to pass. Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
With a debt ceiling deal in place, the next hurdle for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy remains shoring up support.
It's not 100% what everybody wants, but when you look, the country is going to be stronger.
President Biden expressed confidence it will reach his desk.
I feel very good about it. I've spoken to a number of the members.
The bill would lift the debt ceiling for the next 2 years. It would keep non-defense spending at roughly the same levels through 2024, but would prevent cuts to Social Security and Medicare, as well as the military and veterans programs. It also claws back some new funding for the IRS, as well as unspent money from COVID relief funds. It would loosen some environmental rules for new energy projects and would temporarily add work requirements for some receiving social safety net programs, including food stamps.
Terrible policy. Absolutely terrible.
While some progressive Democrats and conservative Republicans are already pushing back against the bill, party leaders are sounding hopeful enough members will vote in favor.
A bipartisan resolution was the only way forward.
The first test will be a Rules Committee hearing in the House Tuesday. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
If it gets through the Rules Committee, a full House vote is expected Wednesday. Lawmakers face a June 5 deadline to get the legislation passed. That's when the Treasury says the U.S. would risk a debt default. Ford has announced that starting next year, all its electric vehicles will have access to Tesla's charging network. Tesla currently has over 12,000 high-speed electric vehicle chargers across the U.S. Owners of Ford electric vehicles will be sent an adapter to connect to the charging stations. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, tens of millions hit the road this Memorial Day weekend as air travel passes pre-pandemic levels. Why it's a big test for airlines and how they're preparing for the summer rush. Then on KOAM News at 6, Pittsburgh State's president returns home from biking across the state of Kansas. Plus, we continue highlighting KOAM J365 reporters as our first year wraps up. And as the weather turns warmer, health experts are warning parents about the dangers of leaving children in cars. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. We are getting that warmer weather and hopefully some rain with that.
We're going to get hit and miss storms just about each and every day this week. The reason the percentages are so low, 20-30%, is because each day the coverage across the area is only going to be about 20 or 30%. Temperatures warming up 84s the next 2 days, 86s Thursday and Friday, and then we kind of hold mid to upper 80s all the way into next week.
All right, sounds good. And thank you all for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for your KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.